June 18th, 1815. Nathan Rothschild stands in the London Stock Exchange, watching fortunes collapse around him. While Britain waits for news from Waterloo, he already knows Napoleon has fallen, and he's about to execute the most profitable trade in history. By the end of this story, you'll understand why 5 family names still control more wealth than 4 billion people combined, and how their century-spanning strategies created the blueprint for modern financial dominance. The morning mist clung to the cobblestones of Frankfurt's Judengasse in 1744, when Meyer Amschel Rothschild was born into a world where Jewish families faced severe restrictions on commerce and property ownership. His father, Amschel Moses Rothschild, dealt in silk and currency exchange from a cramped shop beneath their family home. Young Meyer learned that information traveled faster than armies and that currency exchange required understanding politics as much as mathematics. By 1769, he had established M.A. Rothschild and Sons, specializing in rare coins and government bonds. His breakthrough came through cultivating relationships with European nobility, particularly Prince William of Hanau, who needed discreet financial services during the turbulent revolutionary period. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, a different kind of empire was taking shape. In 1839, 16-year-old John Davison Rockefeller started his first job as an assistant bookkeeper in Cleveland, earning 50 cents a day. His meticulous record-keeping and obsession with efficiency caught the attention of Maurice Clark, who invited him into a produce business partnership in 1859. That same year, Edwin Drake struck oil in Pennsylvania, creating a chaotic new industry. Rockefeller saw opportunity in the chaos. In 1863, he invested in his first oil refinery, applying the systematic thinking he'd learned in bookkeeping to an industry dominated by wildcatters and speculators. The Morgan dynasty began differently, with mathematics rather than trade. Junior Spencer Morgan started as a dry goods merchant in Hartford, before moving to London in 1854 to establish J.S. Morgan and Company. His son, John Pierpont Morgan, joined the family business in 1857, but quickly demonstrated a talent for understanding complex financial structures. During the Civil War, young J.P. Morgan arranged gold purchases for the Union government, learning how financial crises created opportunities for those with capital and connections. In Delaware, Eleuthère Irénée Dupont was perfecting black powder manufacturing techniques he'd learned in France from Antoine Lavoisier, the father of modern chemistry. After arriving in America in 1800, Dupont established his gunpowder mill along the Brandywine River, using superior French formulas and water-powered machinery. The War of 1812 transformed his small operation into America's primary military supplier, establishing patterns of government contracting that would define the family business for generations. Nathan Rothschild's Waterloo coup became legendary, not just for its profitability, but for its demonstration of how information networks could generate massive wealth. Using carrier pigeons and a network of agents, Rothschild learned of Napoleon's defeat 24 hours before official dispatches reached London. Instead of immediately buying government bonds, which would have signaled his knowledge, he began selling heavily, creating panic among other investors who assumed the worst. When prices collapsed, his agents quietly bought massive quantities. When the official news arrived, bond prices soared, generating profits estimated at over £20 million, worth billions in today's currency. This intelligence network became the foundation for the Rothschild banking empire. Meyer Amschel sent his 5 sons to establish banks in London, Paris, Vienna, Naples, and Frankfurt, creating Europe's first truly international financial network. By 1825, the Rothschilds were underwriting government bonds for nations across Europe, using their communication advantages to arbitrage currency and bond prices between markets. Nathan's son Lionel became the first Jewish member of parliament, while the family's wealth enabled them to acquire vast estates, art collections, and industrial investments. The Rockefeller approach was fundamentally different: vertical integration rather than financial arbitrage. John D. Rockefeller studied every aspect of oil production and identified inefficiencies throughout the supply chain. Instead of competing on price, he eliminated competition through systematic acquisition. Standard Oil, incorporated in Ohio in 1870, began buying refineries, pipelines, and transportation networks. Rockefeller negotiated secret rebates with railroads, using his volume to secure advantages that smaller competitors couldn't match. By 1879, Standard Oil controlled 90% of America's oil refining capacity. The company's structure was revolutionary. Rather than simply owning assets, Rockefeller created a trust system that allowed centralized control over ostensibly independent companies. The Standard Oil Trust, established in 1882, managed 37 separate corporations through a 9-member board. This structure enabled unprecedented coordination while maintaining the appearance of competition. Rockefeller's vertical integration extended from oil wells to retail kerosene sales, with Standard Oil controlling every step of production and distribution. J.P. Morgan's influence reached its zenith during two critical moments when his personal wealth literally saved the American financial system. The Panic of 1893 began with railroad overbuilding and silver price manipulation, but escalated when the Federal Gold Reserve dropped below $100 million, the psychological threshold for maintaining currency stability. President Grover Cleveland, facing potential national bankruptcy, met secretly with Morgan at the White House. Morgan syndicated a bond issue that replenished the gold reserve, charging substantial fees but preventing economic collapse. The 1907 crisis was even more dramatic. When the Knickerbocker Trust Company failed, panic spread throughout the financial system. With no Federal Reserve to provide liquidity, Morgan convened meetings at his Manhattan library, personally directing which institutions would receive emergency funding and which would fail. He locked competing bankers in his library until they agreed to contribute to a rescue fund, literally holding the key until a solution emerged. Morgan's actions prevented a complete financial meltdown, but demonstrated the dangerous concentration of financial power in private hands. The DuPont family leveraged their gunpowder monopoly into systematic innovation in chemistry and materials science. During World War I, DuPont supplied 40% of Allied explosives, generating profits that funded massive research investments. The company pioneered synthetic materials, developing nylon in 1935 and Teflon in 1938. During World War II, DuPont managed the Manhattan Project's plutonium production at Hanford, Washington. Demonstrating their technical capabilities at unprecedented scale, Sam Walton's approach combined Rockefeller's systematic efficiency with modern retail psychology. When he opened his first Walmart in Rogers, Arkansas, in 1962, Walton focused on small towns ignored by other retailers, using computerized inventory systems and distribution networks to offer lower prices than competitors. The Walmart model expanded rapidly through rural America, eventually becoming the world's largest private employer. Today, the Walton family and its foundations own 44% of Walmart Inc., which has a market cap of approximately $950 billion. These 5 dynasties didn't just accumulate wealth, they created the organizational structures that define modern capitalism. The Rothschild international banking model became the template for global finance. Rockefeller's trust system evolved into the modern corporation. Morgan's crisis management established central banking principles. DuPont's research investments created the industrial R&D model. Walmart's supply chain optimization became the retail standard. Their combined influence demonstrates how concentrated wealth, managed across generations, shapes entire industries and economic systems. The families who learned to turn information into advantage, efficiency into monopoly, and crisis into opportunity didn't just get rich. They rewrote the rules of how wealth is created and preserved. Subscribe. We tell one story like this every week.